you guys have a very exciting thing coming out, Curse of Sherlee Johnson #3, a landmark issue for a few reasons. First off, it's written by Daniel and drawn by Jonathan. That's it. That's all it is. It's super super cool. No, but
We survived.
this issue, what's super cool is that Frank Miller's returning to the Spawn universe in 25 years. And not only that, but this marks the first time in over 3 decades that Frank and Todd have teamed up on a cover together. So I've seen it. It's amazing. I bet we'll throw it on the screen right now and you guys can check it out for yourself. But I wanted to know, first off, Daniel and Jonathan, what was your first reaction to hearing that you guys were getting this epic collab for your book?
I'll let Daniel.
Well, my reaction was, "Holy crap, really?" That was pretty much that state of non-belief per se, but it is really exciting.
I refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe it.
Dude, it's so
Even now,
cool.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I mean, when I heard about it, I was like, that's super badass. Todd, I wanted to know. I mean, I read in the press release your quote about it and how you said that you felt like a giddy kid again working with Frank, and I wanted to know what specifically about this piece took you back to those early days of you guys working together.
Well, like I said, I wish Frank was here, right? He's out in Europe. Again, it's not a joke. He's out in Europe doing things. So unfortunately, he couldn't be here because he has a lot of good stories. But here's what I think Frank would say and agree to also is that when we were both, and obviously Frank broke in before I did, but when we were both back, like in the late '80s, '90s, the formality of doing comic books wasn't there like it is today, right? In terms of like people started getting under exclusive contracts and you only work with one and people devoted and there was a lot of just being friends back then of like, hey, I do a cover for you, you do a cover for me. And you didn't really have to get any clearance to some extent through the editors at the companies. It was just like you just swapped pages and did stuff, and it was way easier. And then all of a sudden, especially when exclusives came along, it got tough, right? I'd ask like friends, and they're like, "Oh, I'd love to do it. I've just got to see if I can get clearance from the lawyers," right? And they took a little bit of this sort of joy that we just used to have because we were just kids breaking into comic book, and we were taking all the things that we wanted. So if you look, there were a lot more of that going on back then than there is today. So when Frank and I did a couple of things back then, and the big one, which was the Spawn Batman, again, we were just like, hey, let's just have some fun together, right? I mean, that's it. Let's just come up with a crazy idea and do it. And here we are now, again, 25 years later. And again, it just shoots you back to like, we should have done this. What, like you just mentioned, it's been 25 years. Like, why? Right? It's like, there's no good reason why it should have taken this long for, any two friends and or collaborators to not have done it over and over. So it shouldn't be special because it wasn't so much back then, but I guess it is now. And that there's two versions of it, Frank's version and my version, I think is sort of, again, another fun sort of thing to do, not just, hey, here's a cover, pencils and inks. There's two versions to it so people can compare the two and go, I like that one better than that one. That's okay. That's fun.
Well, how did the idea come together to do this for Sherlee Johnson #3, and what made this the right book to do it on?
I'll give that to Daniel because I think Daniel was sort of the impetus. As much as he's sort of going, wow, holy crap, he actually he's very hungry for his book. So he was the one that was scheming this up. So you go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, no, it was pretty cool. And it's funny, actually, because it kind of goes a little bit into what Todd was talking. Because I spoke with Frank before about this because we were working on the Ronin Rising book. And at the same time is when me and Jonathan started doing the Curse of the Sherlee Johnson book. And I mentioned, like, oh, how cool would it be, to have a cover by Frank? And I should, like, Todd did this cover, whatever. And Frank was immediately like, let's do it. Like, 100% up for it, and 100% with that collaboration thing in mind and with the having fun in mind, because he saw Jonathan's designs and he really liked it from the get-go. And then we sent him issue 1. He read through it. He saw it all. So like Todd said, this wasn't just we trying to hire somebody, was really and again, Frank is somebody that I look up to, same like with Todd, like the biggest that there is as far as influences go on me. So to actually have somebody excited to do this for the book, other than just being hired to do something, was really cool. And then, like Todd said, because I mean, I don't think it hurts to ask. I was like, hey, Todd, how cool would it be if you inked something to Frank? Can you imagine that? Like, I don't know. Could be a yes. And it was.
Yeah, no, so he got Frank on board and then yeah, added that other piece. Like, hey, what if you guys just messed around on it? Which would, again, I think that's part of the stuff that probably Frank, and I don't want to speak for him, he's not here, but probably reacted to, was that like, oh, again, this is just like how we used to do it. Let's just come up with a goofy idea. He'll pencil it. The other thing too, which I don't usually do, let me just say, I don't usually do this when I ink people. The one thing I do when I try to ink, and I'm talking to two very, very, very famous inkers here, so they know that, is you like to put a little bit of your touch in it, but not to the point that it takes away from who the artist is, right? Mm-hmm. The artist, the penciler should be recognizable in a heartbeat. No matter what you do, no matter how you ink, they should still be recognizable, I think. So no matter what that collaboration is, you still be able to go, oh, that's Liefeld and McFarlane. Oh, that's Capullo and McFarlane, right? I should never bury anybody, anytime, anywhere, and it's sort of the fun that I have with it. But on this cover, for the very first time, I actually made sort of creative changes, if you will. And part of it was, and I'm always like going, guys, just give me some rough stuff. Don't worry about it. I can do it. Some of it was because it was so rough. I didn't know what was going on. So I started, I started down the path because I thought I interpreted it the way Frank wanted me to. And then at some point I went, hey, can somebody send me Frank's version? Right. I just want to, and it was like, oh, wow. Okay. He went left. I went right. But I was kind of having fun with what I was doing. So it was like, you know what? Let me just finish it and let me just see if I can get Frank's blessing as part of the two guys playing with one piece of art, that it actually isn't going to be, the difference isn't going to be ink and style, even color. It's going to be like, no, that character is kind of a different character than that character there. So there will be some obvious changes, but the composition is all there, and hopefully Frank still comes through glowing on both of them. Yeah.
Now, I wanted to know, with cover ideas, as far as like, what was the collaboration with Frank like when you asked Frank to do a cover for like the layouts? Is he just like, do you talk with him about it, or you're just like, oh, I'm asking Frank Miller to do a cover, so whatever he does is going to be totally fine and we're going to take it?
I don't know about Daniel, but for me, I have that attitude with any creative person to some extent.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you get people that you go, man, I wonder if they'll do something. This is the bakers and choosers. If somebody says yes, you don't ask any more questions. You just get out of the way. You go, I got the answer. Okay, thanks, click. You hang up and you go, they said yes, I've got the commitment. And they do. Now, sometimes they'll ask me, I don't know about these guys, but like when I get people to do covers for me, Chris, they'll ask me, well, what do you want in the cover? The answer is always the same. Something so cool. No, this is true. Something so cool that when you're done with it and people see it, their first reaction, because I had plenty of these, is, oh man, I wish I'd make a poster of this cover. And then you get hit by a bus, and that's it. And that, like, what's that image you want to leave to the consumer, given it might be your only sort of Spawn universe, Spawn thing you're doing? That's it. So whatever you think that is, do it. I'm always shocked at what that answer is, because sometimes it's better than I thought, and other times I'm like, what? You're going to draw that and get hit by a bus? That's it? That's what you're going to leave? So I gave that. Let me just say, I gave that to brag on somebody else. I gave that same thing recently, and I'm always giving it to him. Brett Booth, right? Brett Booth is, and Daniel knows he's inked them. I don't know if Johnson has, but he's a madman. And so, but I was doing the latest issue of Spawn, and it was a lot of talking heads. And so I'm aware of it as an art form, the artist going, oh man, I don't want to draw a lot of talking heads, but I gave him a lot of talking head pages. And so I got to come up with something at the end, just for no good reason, but for visuals. So I did this 2-page spread, and why? Because I just wanted him to have a 2-page spread, right? This is the stuff that if writers actually knew my process, they'd be horrified. And I came up with the 2-page spread 5 seconds before I wrote it. But it was like the same thing. Hey, do this and give him a wow and make it a poster shot. Oh my God, this dude! You're every now and then you're looking for a home run, right? And he hit the grand slam on it. And I was like, I want to take this 2-page spread and show it to some other artist to go, that's what I'm talking about. That image he drew made me 10 years old again.
Dude,
I need that on my wall. I need that on my wall.
I saw it. And the first thing I thought was, he's crazy.
Yeah, crazy good.
Somebody has to ink that.
Right. So again, it's not that easy. Every cover we ever did, Chris, would be awesome. So it's not that easy. I know it's a big task that I'm given, but that's what I do. I either don't say anything, or I go, just give me that 10-year-old poster shot, and then I'm out of there. So
actually,
Daniel had more conversation with him than that.
Well, I was going to say, I think that's a great segue, because I want to ask Jonathan and Daniel, like, you guys are also both like delivering your own covers for this issue alongside Frank and Todd's variant. So, what's your mindset in crafting something that would stand shoulder to shoulder with two icons? I mean, does it like make you excited, or is it nerve wracking? Like, what's the thought process like?
Well, my cover was done long before these two, so
okay, so that makes it way easier.
I didn't have that competing stress, so that was all done. So yeah, it's I don't know, Daniel, how you feel. Well, yours was done too, right?
It was, but I especially now after seeing all of the covers, and we end up having 4 covers for this issue. My feeling is, what am I doing here? I did my best. I'm really happy with it. It was like, Todd and Frank should be the main covers on this. And I know the numbers don't not the numbers, the letters A, B, or C doesn't really matter, but I am really happy that we get to all do it, because again, it is a joint venture and a thing of having fun doing this. And it comes out right before New York Comic Con, where we'll all also be at, to have this come out there, and all of us being there, and hopefully being able to talk about this and see the book and everything. It's a first for me, so it's incredibly exciting to deal with that, and looking forward to it.
I think the awkward part of it for me is when Daniel was saying, because I told Daniel, I was like, I don't know how I feel about, I know maybe the letters don't matter, like A, B, or C, but how am I cover A?
That's what I was going to say was, if I had come first, I think that would be worse, because then I'd be second guessing everything. I'd be like, oh no, do I need to redo this?
No.
But if we go back in time too, and again, I hate to age myself, but usually what ended up happening, at least the time when I broke in, was you did the inside, and you also did the cover for your book. That was just a given.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? Like there was no cover artist really. And so you went, oh, okay. I mean, you'd see it the odd place or whatever else, but for the most part, that was just part of your gig. So Jonathan doing covers for his books is like, yeah, right. I mean, there's a continuity with that, because if you like what's inside the book, then you should like then Jonathan's covers, because the same guy, right?
Yep.
And so it reeks a little bit of old school, which I don't mind it. On a side note, and I don't know what your next question is, but I'm going to Shanghai your interview. On a side note, I think if there's anybody sort of listening here that has any aspirations of breaking into comic book, and Frank, if he was here, would be number 4 or 4, but you've got 3 of us, but all four of us, and it doesn't matter where our standing is, and these 2 gentlemen are very kind with their words. All 4 of us started as one occupation in comic books and then grew into the others, right? So Frank was just a penciler. He was just he's like the beginning, and then he started to ink some of his own stuff, and then even more so, he became the great writer that he was, right? I was a penciler, right? And then I went, oh, hey, I'm going to start inking my own stuff. Oh, now I'm going to write my own stuff. Oh, right. And now the thing that's sort of got me the biggest smile on my face, besides it's just a hell of a looking book, and people haven't seen Sherlee Johnson, I think you should take a look at it, because I think it's a real fun, wicked, interesting looking book that isn't your prototypical sort of book, not even your prototypical Spawn book. But both of these gentlemen made their chops as inkers. And now I look at like Jonathan doing the art, going, wow, and then Daniel doing the writing. It's like, cool. So this, like, all of this book and all of us to some extent also should just get people just get into comic books, and you don't know where it's going to get you, right? Like, I don't know, 5 years ago, Daniel and Jonathan thought they'd be doing a book, right? Like going, hey, as they're laboring over inking, trying to get shit done, that they're going to be doing their own book, and people are going to care about it, right? It's the joy watching the evolution of stuff happening around here. And I'm going to guess it's also one of the reasons why Frank said yes, because he'd been working with Daniel, and we're at that ripe old age where it's like we get more joy helping people than worrying about whether we get more sunshine on ourselves. So.
Now, one thing I wanted to ask is that Frank Miller has written Spawn before. Would you like to see him actually script another story in the Spawn universe again, maybe even with Sherlee one day?
Anytime Frank wants to do anything, look at. Here's what I usually tell people that I like when I try to go hire them. I go, look, I understand you've got your career, you've got your life, you've got your schedule. I don't know what any of that is. I'm just telling you that my door is open at any time. You want to come, I'll take it, and I will take between 0 and 1,000,000 pages from you. So you tell me whether you want to do a monthly book, a one-shot, a cover, a mini, like, that's not me, that's you. But I'm telling you, I'll start with 1 page, and then we can go from there. But you tell me, like, what are you talking about? Frank Miller decided he wanted to write Spawn for the next 5 years. What am I going to do? Say no? Done.
Now, obviously, the cover is epic, but I want to know, Daniel, are there any big surprises that you want to tease from the story itself in Sherlee Johnson #3?
This is a pretty cool issue, and I say that as somebody who keeps seeing all of Jonathan's pages. So we have a lot of like new settings, a lot of new stuff happening, because it's been a lot of running and surviving. Things kind of calm down a little bit, and with that, we start getting into the ecosystem of hell, and new characters and everything start showing up. We have, and I'm not going to get into a lot of crazy details about it, but there's this new hell spawn showing up in issue 3 that it's one of the coolest splash pages that Jonathan ever drew in my life in all of this. So I'm very, very, very excited for people to see that one.
Dude, that's awesome. I say that as somebody who's seen the page too, and it's it's super cool.
The changes that I made that I mentioned previously was leaning into the sort of the hell component, right? So I just went, oh, okay. Once I saw what Frank did, I go, oh, okay. He went sort of an earthly vibe, and I go, hey, I'm just going to bend it a little bit to a hell vibe, which is where Sherlee is right now.
I know, Todd. Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you about was this cover. Obviously it's a reunion, decades in the making. But what's another dream collaboration that you'd love to see grace, the Spawn universe one day? That somebody you haven't worked with in a long time, or somebody you've never worked with?
So unfortunately, a couple of my my dream collaborations, they're no longer with us, right? John Buscema, I would have liked to have inked John Buscema, because to me he was like the master, right? I would have liked to have also done some inking over Gene Colan, because Gene Colan seemed like his pencils were so far away from the way that I ink it shouldn't make sense. So I just need to try it to see whether it would look really kind of cool or if it would just be an abortion, right? And people going, "No, what was that?" But of the people that are around, the guy who's at the top of my list and has been for a long time, John Romita Jr. Because I think John Romita Jr. again has that clarity of what he does, the visuals, it's all there. But his stuff is loose enough that I think there's enough room for a little bit of interpretation from the inking side. So I could have fun and it still be JR, right? Boom, done. So he would be the guy. If I could wave a wand and go, hey, I'd like to ink somebody's page once, he'd be at the top of my list.
There's got to be some way we can make that happen, I'm sure.
Oh no, I talked to him. I bug him a lot. So.
Well, let's do it then.
Which do you like more, inking or drawing? I always hear you talking about inking. Where do you have more fun?
In all honesty, Jonathan, and you're there. The inking is more fun, and I only say that because you can just enjoy creating because all the hard work's been done. Like I don't want to say inking's not hard work, but going, oh, what's the camera angle? What's the story? How do I do the mood? Like the page layout and making the page layout and or a cover. Like sometimes, you're doing covers now, you throw away your ideas 5 times before you go, yeah, okay, that one. And then after the penciler tortures themselves, sometimes, and we're neurotic, we did that. Then you hand it to a really good inker, just like you two guys, and you guys just knock it out of the park, right? But like you can just go to the core of it. So when I'm inking, I can watch a baseball game and just go, man, this is a good day. I'm watching baseball, sitting with my beautiful wife, and creating all at once, and I can do it all. I don't feel I can be watching baseball when I'm penciling. I have to be focused way too much. So at the end of it, you're proud of all of it, but in terms of just pure joy for me, I don't know about you because you're doing it now. Inking, like Brett Booth wants to do a bunch of thinking and Greg Poole wants to do a bunch of thinking and then give it to me. I'll ink them all day long and not think about it.
I find that you have to find when you're inking yourself, you have to find like that balance of I talk to Daniel about this all the time. Like when I'm drawing, I probably draw more than I should, being that I'm going to ink myself. But there's the time when you're drawing where you're just enjoying the drawing part. So then I get carried away. But the fun of drawing looser, knowing that you're going to ink it because you're just drawing with ink, it's kind of like a high wire act in a way. So it's kind of cool to see it come together in the inking stage.
So Jonathan, you know who's agitated me the most in the last 24, 48 hours? Pencil wise, me, right? because I just got to tell you guys, the way that I work is that I just sort of do these really loose scribbles, and then I go and I ink and draw and finish. Like I do it all kind of with ink. I don't type pencil. I don't type, but because we're doing these covers for the 50-50-50s, I got to do like tight pencils, right? Like not tight, but tighter pencils. And now I'm inking over my own fucking pencils, and I'm like, you drew this yesterday, Todd. Like, why are you doing this twice? Like, I am so mad at myself. Going, you've already drawn this, you dumbass. Why don't you just do a loose cover? And it's like, because you offered a penciled cover, and you can't do that scribble stuff that you do, Todd. And it's like, man, like, so I am amazed at people who do type pencils and ink themselves, right? Because you are drawing your own drawing twice. And whenever I've done that on my own stuff, I literally hate me. I just like, you are wasting, you're not being efficient, you're not doing nothing. You know, I mean, I still get to have a little bit of fun, but it's there, right? So like, you know, here's some inking on the Gunslinger 50 cover, right?
Oh, nice.
You know, some little goofy stuff. But usually all that line work, I just do it in the inks. I just give myself a couple of squiggles and I'm out, right? But I'm going, no, it's a cover. It's going to be a pencil cover. I got to do some new, like, oh, man. So
that's also the beauty of digital too, though. You can kind of get away with that a little bit in a braver way when you're inking it digitally and when you're working that
Johnson,
way.
Doing the same thing twice is inefficient. I'm aware that what I'm doing right now is inefficient. So
that's why I only have one kid.
No. And again, not to get away from Sherlee Johnson and Frank Miller, but like I used to hand in my pages when I was doing like Spider-Man because they would letter on the page, right? On the page. The letter literally would do it on the page. And I would send them in and I'd have to put like, this is Peter. And I'd have to put an arrow down to it. And this blob is Mary Jane. I have to actually ID the blobs, right? Because otherwise the letters would go, Todd, I don't even understand. Like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. Like, where am I supposed to put the tails? Right? So I have to ID blobs. And then they'd give it back to me and then I would just ink them, right? And but I go, I'm going to draw them and then ink them? Come on, what are you talking about? So it was way faster for me to just ID the blobs. Just put a tail kind of here. That's Peter. So don't worry about it. I'll finish this all up. So I had deadlines. Look, when you're writing, penciling, inking, you have to just figure out shortcuts to be able to get 3 disciplines done in 30 days, right? And so you just find your shortcuts. Frank, I'm sure, could go on a whole lecture, you know, with him when he was doing Daredevil. Did they have to do the same thing? I'm sure, right? They don't give you any more time when you're doing multiple jobs.
No.
Book still comes out every 30 days. I want a pencil. Good. It's due in 30 days. I want a pencil and ink. Good. It's due in 30 days. I want a pencil, ink, color. Good. It's due in 30 days.
So does that apply to all of you when it comes to like you prefer inking other people's work versus, you know, your own pencils?
No, for me, no, not necessarily. I enjoy the process either way. Like I enjoy inking Greg for what it is to ink Greg, but for me, I ink myself completely different than I ink Greg. I don't know, completely different, but a lot different than I would ink Greg. I don't use the same techniques. So I like it to. So part of how I ink myself is a bit of what Todd is saying, like in terms of like you find shortcuts. So if I find I have maybe a bit of a rougher line on myself than I would do on Greg, that there's a little bit of saves me time. Maybe with Greg, I'm a lot more careful, so it takes a little longer. So
and I mean, and me personally too, because again, even with the writing and now having the chance to also pencil and everything, like I still love inking, and it's so different. Like even what Todd was saying, and when I was doing it more regularly, the 3 main things that I was doing was finishes over Frank Miller, then kind of inks finishes over Philip Tan, and some help on Brett Booth. I was doing the 3 of them consecutively at a certain point. All of them are very hard, and all of it is so different. There's a different joy in all of the different ways you can do it, because inking it is that like adapting to try and bring the best out of each penciler. So there is a lot of joy to that. And for a while, I was bugging Todd. I was like, Todd, you know, the one thing I want is to ink you one day, even if it's just one piece. And I've always had that. I mentioned it to Jonathan and everything until Todd one day. Then he said, well, Daniel, like imagine that I do a drawing and I like that drawing, you know, and I like you. And then you ink it, and I don't like it. And then I'm not going to like you either. Like, do you want to take that risk? And so I don't want to ink Todd anymore. But other than that, everything's still fun.
Well, there's also the other component, is that then I may have to make it tight enough for Daniel to be able to understand it. And as I'm doing that, I'm going, I could just be holding an ink pen instead of a pencil. The inefficiency comes at me again. I'm going, if I'm going to be this tight, I could have inked it. I could be done. It takes me about today. It takes me as long to pencil a solid page if I was to give it to somebody else as it is to pencil and ink it myself. There's not much difference in terms of the time. But let me tell you how you can tell a true pro inker. And these two guys are both pros. Is at times they'll get on the phone or an email or something, whatever, and every inker, we all do this. And then they just go, this guy is this pencil is driving me crazy, right? He's drawing too much. It's noodling. Why you got to noodle all this stuff? He's killing the deadline, whatever. Blah, 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 blah. But when you look at the page, you don't see any of that anger on the page. It is beautiful. It is like you go, oh, man. Like, it doesn't look like you were mad at this page, right? You're only mad at it sort of after. So that's like a pro. They hold their anger. They don't take it out on the actual subject matter and or paper. They just like emotionally just like go. But we all do that by go shoot. Because I think Daniel gave me one the other day from an artist, and it was like, what? And then I looked. I go, uh-oh. And I look and go, man. I know he hates inking this guy, but I should give him more pages. If he's going to do that good of a job on a guy, I should give him even more pages because he does a killer job on that dude. So, yeah.
Now, I know we're
when me and Greg were on Death Metal, I used to complain to Greg. I used to text Greg these crazy pages. I'm like, God, Jesus, God, dude, how are you drawing this small? And it just eats up all your time. And then Greg would text back, I suffered first. So
True.
Then there goes all of my complaining. So
then you don't have anything to complain about.
I'm going to push back. Because one person's crazy doesn't mean they get to shift the crazy on the, like at some point there's a little bit of being a little bit responsible. Like, okay, you want to be doing that. Why should somebody else have to suffer along the way for you? Right. So anyways, right. I'm gonna have a talk with Greg.
No, but also the fun thing about all of this, and I had somebody earlier today telling me like, oh, you got Frank Miller and Todd accepted, like they did a cover for your book, like you'll have that awesome piece of art to show forever, in something that you and Jonathan are creating. And I think a lot of people don't, and they won't realize, because of course it's normal. Me and Jonathan as creators, in everything that we've always spoken about, it's not even just about that finished cover, which is amazing, but for us is everything that kind of brought us to that. All of the inspiration that we got from Todd, that we got from Frank, all of like even the interaction we're having right now, talking about art, the process, the industry, all of that. For us as creators, all of that is so ingrained in this cover, other than even just the awesome art, that is like that perfect thing of it's an amazing piece of art and that will keep inspiring us forever, because is to a certain degree what brought us here, and then it went full circle and it's out now actually supporting what we're doing, which is insane.
I love that.
What's cool is Todd's take on Frank's pencils being less the inker Todd, and also in the combination of the complete package of Todd creating that image from Frank's cover was cool for me. Like I got excited to see what Todd did with it, and I was glad that it wasn't just like let me do a version of Frank's cover kind of in that style or whatever. It was definitely Todd, but it was still Frank's cover. It's kind of like you got the best of both worlds, really. So that was pretty cool.
Now, last question for you guys, but since he's not here, I'd love to know everybody's personal favorite Frank Miller cover, excluding this one, obviously.
Oh, cover.
Wow. You guys go.
Todd's in a trance thinking of Frank covers.
No, I don't remember what the actual issue is, but I actually have a printout of it in my in my wall. So it's one that you have like a crop of Batman just going like that, and it's pretty much just blacks and shapes. You only see almost a bit of rim light of his face. I love that cover a lot. Like, and again, I could go to all of his personal projects, even, you know, like Sin City and Ronin, that I love it quite a bit. Well, I mean, I guess I should now backtrack and say, no, my favorite covers are the one I did with Frank. But no, like the ones that Frank just himself, this one of Batman, I love it for the raw energy and simplicity, in a sense, because I tend to noodle a lot when I try to do art, to see like the expression in the lines, the shapes, and everything. It's a cover that inspires me a lot.
Nice. What about you, Jonathan?
I don't have a favorite. I'm just inspired by, like Daniel said, how he's able to deliver so much information in so little of what he puts down on a page. That's very hard to do. And just the way he works the lighting, and just like from an inker's perspective, it's just wild to see those big chunky lines work the way they work. Because I think a lot of times inkers, we want to get fancy, and it's raw energy that comes out in his work, and it's just it's almost like going through all of your stages of overdrawing, over noodling, to boil it down to the most basic, simple things can create an amazing image.
For me too. I think of the Dark Knight Returns cover, right? It's the silhouette of Batman against the single bolts of lightning, and it's just so beautiful in its simplicity. I mean, that's got to go down as one of my, not just my favorite Frank cover, but probably like one of my all-time favorite covers. I mean, top five for sure.
If you can win on a silhouette, on the shape,
if you see that page in its original form without the color, it's really cool, but it doesn't do what you're talking about. But he knew that it was going to be backlit, and he knew that the lightning was going to come, and don't undersell that it was also on this book called Dark Knight that just punched all of us in the face. So it was all of that wrapped up, going So when you were asking me, I was going to mention that exact same cover. The other one, oddly, is there was I don't even know what issue it was, but there was a cover, Daredevil, and all I remember, it was like Daredevil's head, and he's pointing a gun towards the camera, and then it was a yellow background, right? And it's, again, I'm not choosing that one because, again, to Jonathan's point, because there's a bunch of lines and a lot of other stuff. I just remember, because I wasn't in the business at that point. I was a collector, and that simple, strong image with that yellow pop on it. I remember when I saw it, bam! Like, this is the thing that we're all fight with. You're up against the sea of other comic books all the time, right? You've got a whole wall behind you, and so what can you put at times that basically sets you apart? Oddly, the easiest thing at times is simplicity, and color pops and stuff like that. So, as I was thinking about that cover, I go, wow. Here I am, a ripe old man. I go, man, I wonder if that's why people glom to Hulk 340, because it's kind of sort of, now that I think about it, the same simple thing: big head, something with a hand, and then a clean background behind it, right? To just get you to like go, oh, that's cool, and then you pick it up because what was inside is what also dragged you along. But he was able to, with some of these covers, just get you to, he knew the hook. He knew the hook, right? What are you talking about? Bullseye with Elektra, right? Man, boom, hook. Okay, God, I gotta see what's inside this. And so to me, Daredevil with the gun, I'm going, he's getting mad. So we got to see what's happening here.
Right. Yeah. I can't. Go on. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I'm sorry, because we're forgetting another good one. Spawn 100. That's a very good Frank Miller cover, with Spawn coming from from above with the cape and everything. Very graphic. That's a very good cover.
I mean, I just think that enough can't be said about just mood, right? Like when a cover,
Yeah.
like when a cover doesn't give away the story, but it sets the mood for the story. I mean, that to me is like my favorite covers, and I think Frank is a master of that. You know, Todd's a master of that. I mean, that's, I mean, Jonathan, even you. I mean, I want to talk about. I know I don't want to go too far off on a tangent here, but like the triple cover that's coming out, right?
Mm.
For Gunslinger and Scorched and Spawn and King Spawn 50. I mean that, you know, when you spread it all out and they're all connected, that you know, that cover that you've done, I love
Yeah.
it. I love stuff like that. So
Thank you.
yeah, of course.
That was
Anyway,
fun.
that's we've talked a lot and nerded out quite a bit, guys.
Yeah.
It was so great to talk to you. If there's anything that we missed, a quote that you want to get out, just, you know, now's your chance. We'll do one last thing here.
Thank
Got
you,
it. All right,
Todd.
we got it all.
No, I'm, but I'm going to reiterate what I said at the beginning because I believe it, right? I mean, I put out a lot of books, and Sherlee Johnson's got a soft spot in me. I'm biased towards the book, not just because these two gentlemen are here. I wanted different, unique books, and so for people who haven't, they may only buy the book now because Frank's doing it, Frank and I are doing a cover or something like that. But peek inside. I think you will be surprised at what's inside, and I'm hoping that it will be as compelling to you as it is to me. Right? I like this book. I wish I had more that had that unique vibe to it. It's its own thing, and I think there's a value in books like that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to check out number 3 myself.